So welcome so much for being on Dove and Dragons podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And you are a life coach, or you do a little bit of motivational speaking and to do a lot. What exactly do you touch base on?
Primarily, I'm an empowerment coach. So what I touch base on is the strengths that you have that you don't realize you have, to give you faith and hope and cheer you on when you don't feel like you have that opportunity or that support system. I find that women tend to be internal.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of that girlfriend that's like, hey, let's go smoke a cigar and play poker. And why would you want to do that? Well, why not? Let's just go and do something and have fun and live life, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed 5 minutes from now. So it's exciting to be able to bring a little magic to the relationship.
It is, and I'm a major introvert myself. I'm very anti-people when I'm in public.
It's very people-y out right now.
Yes, it is. I get panic attacks going to the store right now because the world has just gone crazy. But it's like, we have to step out of that and move forward and have fun.
Absolutely. And this is actually, it's a beautiful time if you choose it to be a beautiful time. And I say that because we all have choice. I have built a whole series. I'm finishing up another book that I'm publishing in regards to reinventing and recreating yourself. It is so quiet now. There's not a lot of busyness that we can fill ourselves with. I mean, even as the states are opening up, in my state, unfortunately, the numbers are rising. But even though the states are opening up, that doesn't necessarily make it noisy again, if that makes sense to you.
Oh, and no, it makes perfect sense. We are making it noisy again with all the turmoil that we're causing ourselves.
That's very human of us, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, right now we could have time with our families. We can have time to do everything we've been yelling at the universe we want to do. And what are we doing but creating chaos?
I think that, the basic fundamental thing that's going on right now, if you were to break it down into kind of like a sociological conversation, is the fact that we have stuffed ourselves in so many different ways, with junk food, with junk news, with junk radio, with, and we're just constantly surrounded and busying ourselves so that we don't deal with who we really are on the inside, who we really are as a person on this planet. And so from that quietness, because we're not being fulfilled, we're not able to cover up that fear, cover up that noise. Now I think a lot of people are going through grief, and they don't know how to handle that because they've stuffed it down and stuffed it back and stuffed it far away. But here comes grief of experience of things that have happened in the past that you never really dealt with because you busied yourself in your current space. And I think it's a symptom of a bigger problem, which is we don't deal with who we are as individuals. We don't accept the fact that we're just big sacks of water surfing on a huge rock, going into infinity without a steering wheel.
Exactly.
And for some reason, we as humans have conditioned ourselves and programmed ourselves to ignore ourselves. So we fulfill our needs by Google and social media and television shows, which is an addiction.
It is. I completely agree with you. I mean, I haven't watched TV in months. I have a TV sitting right in front of me, but I don't watch it because what's on there that is fulfilling me? Nothing.
Nada, baby, nada. I'm a big documentary person, and I teach online, so I do a lot of online courses. I'm in the process of getting a CBD certification because I want to understand the molecular value of CBD oils and how they actually work and functionality and the science behind it. but that's what I use my TV for. It's not, I refuse to be a part of that zombie apocalypse mentally, you know?
Yeah, I can't. We can't sit and binge watch TV. We can't sit and binge watch the news, because what it does do but brings us down mentally. We
Absolutely.
have to find a way to fulfill ourselves, get rid of our grief, and deal with whatever past situation was that's not being fulfilled.
Well, and I think, to be really honest and very transparent, when I'm feeling poo-poo, I honestly binge watch comedies.
Yeah.
I sit there and I watch the funniest things and I laugh and laugh and laugh. And I absolutely love Whose Line Is It Anyway? They are characters, and it puts me in such a different spiritual place. Going outside and grounding. I love gardening. You know, I'm in the hot, sunny Florida. So right now, gardening is not our friend. We're on opposites of what most people are. But my sweet potatoes and ivies and my beans and hot peppers are phenomenally growing right now because of the humidity and like rain. And, you know, so that is another thing that I think people could be doing a lot more of, outside of just getting good with yourself. I mean, we have this amazing time to rebuild our lives. We have this amazing time to rebuild society, you know, and there's a huge calling to make changes permanent on many, many levels. And it's just, I think it's a beautiful time, but we also have to be respectful to those people who are probably showing symptoms of grief because they don't know
what to do with it.
No, and they're not used to having to look at themselves and be like, hey, how you doing? You person, me person. And people like me, that's what we spend our lives doing, is being introspective, being reflective, acknowledging our humanness. That's what we do for a living, you know? But not everybody has that.
Intuitive.
I was gonna say balls, but yeah.
Well, it takes, okay, if you would have met me 3 years ago, I was not this outgoing. I would be never on a video podcast. I would have to be on a radio with the phone. I would be very shy, very quiet. It took me actually going through working with a life coach and going, you're holding yourself back. No one's holding you. There is something holding you back, but you're holding yourself back first.
And when you got good with yourself, look at you blossom.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you would not have worn such a beautiful, bright shirt before. I mean, that's my favorite color. It's like this vibrant royal blue. But now that you're feeling that shiny, sparkly person that you really are, you're able to come out more. And that's what I love doing. That's why I do my podcast. That's why I speak and I write and I teach, because I like to watch people come out of their shell and go, it's really not that bad out here.
Exactly. I was so trapped within my own mind because, if I do this, no one's going to like me. Well, no one likes me as an introvert being in my shell. So why am I trying to cater to others when nothing I'm doing in my mind is making me happy?
Well, my big philosophy, and I hope your listeners can take this home, like really as blunt as it can be, nobody's paying you bills but you. Exactly. So why do you care what they think? And when you get to that place where you're like, oh, wow, they're really not paying my bills and they're sucking up a lot of my time because I'm worrying about something that may or may not be real, I need to be paying my bills. I need to be doing for me. And that is a huge, huge, powerful thing to think about. And I tell all my students, that's your 21-day mantra. You're not paying my bills. You want to sit here and whine and complain, it's $25 an hour. Your life changes. It changes because then you're good with yourself and you have boundaries and you have self-respect over your time.
Right. And I do a lot of things, and actually my now ex-husband, I'm like, at the end, it was just, in my perception, I'm growing, I'm doing things to make myself happy. I'm trying to fix the relationship and he's not growing with me. So we grew apart.
You shed layers.
Yeah.
And that's part of the journey. And, you know, people come to you for a reason because it's that season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that you have animosity or don't care or whatever. It's, hey, it was a good time. Thanks so much. I'm going in a different direction. Yeah. And getting good with that piece too, and not holding on to guilt is something that I find women struggle with. They still chew on, well, I could have done better. I could have been better.
Yeah. It doesn't work that way. People, I'm a firm believer, people come in your life for 3 reasons. Either A, they're teaching you a lesson, B, they are the lesson, or C, they helping you heal from a lesson.
Amen. Amen.
I mean, that's how people are in your life. Even with your relatives, they may be blood, but they're only here for a season.
You know, I'm a true believer that you pick and choose your course before you arrive here in the beautiful rock that we surf on. And I think that the individuals that are in your life are definitely either a reflection of who you are, who you want to be, or who you don't want to be, right? And
right.
Family is a huge part of that because you might not like anybody. And so how do you deal with that without the social conversation about the necessity of having family?
Yeah.
And so that's a cultural thing versus a real thing,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we have, okay. I was raised, we have our family, we should be close-knit. Growing up, we are a very close-knit family. We all know everyone's everything. Well, when you start peeling back the layers of the onion, you get into the animosity, you get into the anger, you get into Jack and Jill don't really get along. You get, so you get all of this, and when you start distancing yourself and start looking at the problem, you're like, oh, I really don't want to be like Jill. I really, really don't want to be like Jack. So there has to be a middle ground somewhere.
And that would be you. You're the middle ground, right?
Right.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Oh, that's what we tried to be anyways, but it's distancing yourself from what you don't want. Instead of following, well, I have to follow this because this is an example that was set before me. No, you have a choice to follow that example or make your own path.
Well, I think if we go back to the sociological conversation, we look at our villages and we look at primal survival, that reptilian part of our brain, caveman dwellers. You wanted to have that close-knit community because that's how you survived. That's just, right. You're not going to survive by yourself. You have to have someone out in front of you hunting, gathering, and possibly eating plants that are going to kill them and you know not to eat them. And that was the reality then. Mm-hmm. And so we have evolved into the thinking that that's the way it has to be all the time. And we're not that way anymore. We don't need to stuff ourselves with false identity or false relationships that negatively impact our spiritual growth.
Right. We have warning labels on everything now instead of, hey, I watched this person do it and it didn't turn out good. Or we have people that just ignore the warning labels and go, oh, this looks really cool to try it this way anyways.
Yeah, some people have to touch the hot burner. It is so great that they're like, oh, I got to touch it. It's like that big red button on Ren and Stimpy. You have to push it. And that's just an evolutionary process for that person's journey. Yeah. Whether they survive life, we don't know.
Not everything on Ren and Stimpy is meant to be duplicated in real life, but
and whizzing on the electric fence is definitely not something I'd recommend.
Yeah, let's not try that. No.
So I'm glad that you're a fellow Ren and Stimpy fan. I absolutely loved Ren and Stimpy. That's another thing I would binge watch that and liquid television.
Oh yeah, there's so many good shows from the 90s that we don't see now that actually were entertaining, funny, and taught you something.
No way.
Yeah. It's like cartoons actually teach you something?
Well, I have to confess, there was a couple of years ago, something about Honey Boo Boo. Everybody was flapping their gums about Honey Boo Boos and a Kardashian.
Mhm.
Had no freaking clue because I don't watch TV. I don't read the stupid magazines. I'm not into any of that.
Right.
And I had to look her up. That's not educational. That's the opposite of what my personal representation of being a human on this planet is.
Right.
And there's a downgrade, I think, and I don't know how old you are, but when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, there wasn't much for TV, so you went out and had bonfires with your friends, and you roller skated and you skateboard, and you would like even do graffiti. Shh, don't tell anybody. But like you were out doing things and creating and inventing and using all the gifts that you have. Over the last few years, commercialization has like, boom, everywhere you go. You can't even listen to Pandora without paying Pandora to shut up the commercials so that you can listen to your playlist. We've just filled our space with garbage, and people are mimicking the garbage that we've filled our space with, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to be very polite about it.
I mean, no, growing up, I graduated high school in 2001. So, yeah.
You're a little younger than me.
Maybe. But even I remember going and building stuff. The toys were educational. The shows on TV, yeah, we had things like Family Matters and Full House and things like this. They were feel good, but they also taught you something.
Well, even the Golden Girls, man, even the Golden Girls had lessons, and they were funny.
Yes, I mean, we had our shows that taught you morals. Now we put things on, and it's reality TV that, let's face it, reality TV is scripted. It's not real. You tell me one channel that doesn't have something reality TV on it. Then you have the news. Well, we're not teaching news. We're not reading news. We're reading views of that person, interpretation of the news. And that's across the board.
And that's where the mindlessness and the anger and the vitriol and the fear is really flooding our communities, because news is not what it used to be. When I was in journalism, I wrote for the school newspaper, blah, blah, blah. But it was really, there are real hard and fast rules about having both sides. I was the head of the debate team because you learn both sides and you articulate the commonality in both sides or the difference. And news now is exactly what you said. It is a filtered version of the truth. And it doesn't matter what channel you're watching, most of it's garbage. And that's very frightening when you are living in a world with so many people, so much uncertainty. You watch a whole bunch of fear-based crap, and your commercials are all about how you're flawed, fat, ugly, wrinkly, all of these downgrading over and over and over again things. And you can't even trust your news to at least tell you what's really going on out there because you're too afraid to go out.
Right. When I was growing up, you used to watch the news, even in school in English class, because we have to do pretend newscast. You had to have the news as an unbiased opinion. We no longer have that unbiased opinion. And I was raised and I was taught that the amendment doing the journalism, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, is an unbiased opinion. It has to be unbiased, otherwise it's no longer the press, but rumor mills.
It's a storyteller at that point, absolutely. And that's where we've strayed, because it doesn't give you ratings. Ratings make you money. Money makes you rich.
Mhm.
Blah, blah, you know, and so there's this slow destruction of our society. Not only does our education system fail us intensely, immensely, amazingly, yes, our healthcare system fails us intensely, immensely, amazingly.
Mhm.
And then we're led to believe that plugging in intravenously into the boob tube is going to somehow sedate us enough where we don't notice the decline of civilization. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just follow the history, right?
Right.
Most people now don't even read above an 8th grade level.
Right.
And so thinking beyond that immediate gratification, thinking beyond what the television fills your head with, is something that's on the decline. And I think that's why dementia is on the rise.
Yes, and I see this with my own grandmother. When she was active or reading books and not physically active but mentally active, her mind was sharp. Now she just sits there and watches the cars all day, and her mind is going slowly away. I'm like, we need to get you back into your reading. We need to get you back to mentally doing something.
How does she feel about sitting outside barefoot?
She's in a wheelchair, so getting her outside, of course, 75 degrees is too cold and 76 degrees is too hot.
Okay.
So, yes.
So go to a lawn company and get a piece of turf,
Mm-hmm.
build a little box so that it's constantly watered and growing,
yep,
and put it under her feet.
Yep. So,
I mean, that's, woo! Yeah, you got your hands full, girl.
Always. But you know what? That's life. And it's fun. And every day is a new adventure. So.
I am a huge advocate for mayhem, mischief, Nerf guns, water guns, laughter, and any kind of bullshittery. I grew up on Monty Python. I grew up with, a playful, sinister nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I love pranks. And I think that's what life's about. I don't think in any way, shape, or form we're supposed to be absorbing as much crap as we do.
Yeah.
And it takes such a huge toll on people. I believe that amount of worrying about stuff that's out of your control, because again, breaking it down to very simple steps, you're a bag of water
mm-hmm.
floating on a big rock
mm-hmm.
without a steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not controlling anything.
No.
And as much as we think we can control things, it's just not going to happen.
No, it's not.
Have fun with your Nerf gun. Go and play in the mud. You're not going to get cooties from playing in the mud. Lord have mercy. Thousands of people we wouldn't even exist if that was the case.
I love playing in the mud, running barefoot in the grass. If it's summertime, the only time I'm wearing shoes is if I'm walking over concrete, because seriously, concrete gets hot.
Truth. Especially down here. I don't know where you are. But I hate shoes. I hate socks. Like
mm-hmm.
it is an act of God for me to wear anything on my feet, because I like the feeling of the ground. I like the energy, and living in Florida is really convenient because
mm-hmm.
I did my time in winter, and I hated boots. Like I always felt trapped.
I'm one of those people that puts on their bikini in the wintertime and goes make snow angels.
There, see, but that's fun.
Yes.
That's fun. There's nothing wrong with that. You're gonna get a little like snow angel rash or whatever, but Vaseline's fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just like a sunburn, but with cold, right?
Yeah, and it goes away faster than a sunburn.
Exactly. It's like, I'm having fun. Why? I'm not hurting anyone. Yeah, I look crazy doing it, but you know what? I'm having fun doing it, so.
I used to fill up spray bottles for my daughter daughters
Mm-hmm.
with different colored water, and we would make like snow walls.
Mm-hmm.
After you plow,
Yeah.
and then there's the walls,
Yeah.
and we would just have fun with it. When you take that time to really breathe and recognize what is beautiful in this world,
Mm-hmm.
the yucky stuff just is unappealing. It's
Yeah.
just really, you look at people like, did that just come out of your mouth? Really? Yeah, gotta go.
Yeah, and my social media, I've been purging people from my social media because I'm like, I don't want this negativity. I actually put a thing on my Facebook, on my personal page, not my author page, not my professional pages, but my personal page. If you're promoting hate, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, red, blue, gold, whatever. I'm deleting you. I don't want to hear it.
I don't delete them, and that's the white lighter in me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they have to purge their information the way they choose to,
Mm-hmm.
but there's this really great option. If you look on the right side of the box,
Mm-hmm.
you can pause them for 30 days. You don't actually have to get rid of them, but you can pause them for 30 days, and that way you don't have to see the vitriol for 30 days. And my experiment, my hopes are that once they get through that poison, because it's what it is,
Mm-hmm.
once they heal from that, on the other side, they're going to be a healthier person. And if they're not, well, then it didn't hurt to try, but I didn't have to listen to it for 30 days.
Yeah. Well, we're almost out of time. So where can our followers find you?
It is really easy. It's Rustie, RUSTIE.info. And you can actually download my latest workbook on creating success for yourself. And in about 2 weeks, I'm almost wrapped up with my next mastermind book on mastering your day, how to conquer your day. People don't know how to do that. And
No,
it's
they
kind of fun.
I do a lot of, I'm not one of the speakers, but we have once a month, there was Conquering the Crisis for the COVID. And I got to sit in and listening to 6 of the renowned motivational speakers, how to change your mindset. Well, I'm going from having a LLC that was, oh, here's a little idea what I want, into a C Corp in 30 days.
Exactly right. And we have the time to do it. So there are 3 types of people: those who get lost in the chaos, those who are like us, who are like, oh my God, I got free time, let's do this. Yes, go. And then there are the ones who are intentionally not wanting to do improvements or make improvements. Yeah. They enjoy that drama fest. And it's going to be really interesting once all is said and done to see how many entrepreneurs actually emerge out of this COVID. And I've interviewed some amazing authors who came up with kids' books to explain to the kids what COVID is, because nobody's really having that conversation about children and what they're perceiving and going through. So I'm excited. I think it's a beautiful time. I really do.
It is. And right now, it's not a time to withdraw. It's a time to expand, even if you're just expanding yourself.
Absolutely. Yes. That is this is the best time to get really quiet and to have conversations with yourself and learn who you are as a person without the TV, without the busy traffic, without, the worries of all the other stuff that we used to be worried about. Yeah. And it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. So we've had all of this time to make or break habits. What have you done with your time?
Exactly. What are we doing? We're creating chaos in the world, or are we actually working toward a better world?
So. Girl, you and I are working towards a better world. We see the light.
Well, it's so nice having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.